Damian Lillard is more fun to watch and is a little better long-distance shooter and scorer. But Jrue Holiday is more all-around valuable than Dame because he's such an elite defender, playmaker, big shot maker, leader, baller, blender, winner.
Jrue Holiday, who was formerly with the Milwaukee Bucks, who got shipped to Portland in a Damian Lillard trade, who's now been traded from the Portland Trail Blazers to the Boston Celtics. There's really nothing to discuss here. I consider the Boston Celtics to be the favorites in the Eastern Conference.
After the NBA was rocked to its core with a bombshell of a trade featuring Damian Lillard, the Celtics took it up a notch by acquiring Jrue Holiday from the Blazers in exchange for Robert Williams III, Malcolm Brogdon, and a couple future first-round picks. As quite expected, the rebuilding Blazers had no plans of keeping Holiday along with his hefty contract. But the Celtics swooping in to grab arguably the best defender in the league just 72 hours after the Lillard trade took place is certainly worthy of keeping an eye on. In this video, let's have a closer look at how Jrue Holiday can make an impact on the Celtics next season and talk about why this trade is just as important or perhaps even bigger than the Damian Lillard trade. The reason I said this is because right after the Holiday trade was finalized, the odds makers instantly put the Celtics as the consensus favorites to win the championship ahead of Holiday's former team despite the addition of Lillard to the Bucks. Now, we can't directly say that Holiday will have more impact on Boston than Lillard with the Bucks based on the championship odds, because obviously we all know that Lillard is the bigger star here and the better player among the two. But in terms of overall fit to their respective new teams, I think Holiday has a bit of an edge over Lillard in this regard, which is why most betting sites as well as renowned basketball analysts have favored the Celtics to win it all next season. Holiday will be joining a Celtics squad that has established a strong defensive identity over the last couple of seasons, and speaking of which, there's no question that Holiday will make the Celtics even better on the defensive end because locking down players has always been his specialty. See, the Bucks traded for him because of his elite-level defense, and in return, that defense has literally won the championship for them with his key stops during the crucial moments of the 2021 NBA Finals. With the Bucks down 2-1, Holiday pressured Chris Paul to make a major mistake in this possession, which eventually sealed the game for the Bucks. And with the series tied at 2 apiece and a little over 20 seconds left on the clock, Holiday came up clutch yet again as he stripped the ball from Booker and threw an alley-oop to Giannis on the other end to seal the deal. Simply put, Holiday brings championship-level defense night in and night out. And that kind of defense is something that the Celtics need to put them over the hump against the tough teams that they'll be facing in the East next season. Although he has not won any Defensive Player of the Year awards so far, players around the league have vouched for Holiday as the best defender in the NBA, according to a survey conducted by The Athletic. To me, Jrue is to defense what Steph Curry is to shooting. He's a defensive monster who can relentlessly guard any player in any position. Holiday is a smart defender who knows the tendencies of his man. Here, you can see that Holiday prevented Kawhi from going over the screen and forced him to dribble using his weak hand. With Brook Lopez on drop coverage, Holiday kept the pressure from behind, and this left Kawhi with no choice but to take a contested mid-range jumper, which he missed. Now, even against much heavier players like Zion in this instance, Jrue can still hold his own. See, even if Zion goes to his strong hand, Jrue has the body and strength to neutralize his attack, and this allows Jrue to poke the ball and cause an unforced turnover later on. What also makes Jrue a transcendent defender is his anticipation and timing. With no white shirts ahead of the pack, most players would just backpedal in this transition attack and try to contain the offensive player for as long as they can. But Holiday is a different cat, and he just lunges toward Shake Milton to pick his pocket on a dime without getting called for a foul. Whether it's about guarding pick and rolls or covering one-on-one assignments, Jrue proved to be one of the better defenders in the league by ranking above the 65th percentile in these specific defensive areas. And when you take a look at his defensive impact on a much larger scale, you can see that he registers as a plus 2.1 defensive Raptor rating. And on top of this, he also scores a plus 3.6 offensive Raptor rating, which effectively makes him one of the premier two-way players in the NBA. Now, speaking of being an elite two-way guard, Holiday also made a major leap last season in terms of scoring, and his improvement in this particular area can definitely help the Celtics in a big way, especially during moments where either Tatum or Brown can't get buckets, as well as in times where their offensive flow as a unit would become stagnant. Holiday averaged 19.3 points on 47.9% and 38.4% shooting splits last season. And if you take a look at his shooting range, you can see that he's actually quite effective in catch-and-shoot situations and pull-up J's, as he hit above the 40% marker except for pull-ups that he took from beyond the arc. In addition, he also developed a habit of jacking up shots with lots of time remaining on the shot clock, in which he was also equally effective as well. Here's Holiday walking up the court, and with 18 seconds left on the clock, Holiday just pulled the trigger and drilled it. He's so comfortable in making these walk-on threes that if you give him just a bit of daylight like what Barnes did here, Jrue will definitely make you pay 9 times out of 10. Now, apart from this, his step-back game has also been quite lethal last season. If you sort out his shot attempts, you can see that the step back is his primary go-to move alongside his pull-up game, with an effective field goal percentage of 56.1%. And what's even more impressive is that 90.3% of his step-back attempts were unassisted. Look here, Holiday seems to be turning the corner here after using Giannis's pick. However, he suddenly pulls the brake, and just check out the separation that he created here before drilling the step-back jumper. And since he's a big point guard, Holiday can also just bully his way inside if he recognizes a mismatch, just like what he did here against McConnell and De'Aaron Fox. Even though they lost Marcus Smart and Rob Williams III, the Celtics managed to sustain their defensive identity with the addition of Holiday. And if we're going to analyze this a bit further, Holiday alone actually offset both Smart and Time Lord, because not only does he bring a lot more defensively, but he also does provide plenty of upside on the scoring end. With Holiday added into the fold, the Celtics' projected starting lineup will feature the tandem of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum at the 2 and 3 spots, while Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford will round it up at the front court. This starting five is definitely going to create a lot of havoc defensively, and their tremendous versatility on both ends allows them to match up against any type of lineup with such ease. Scoring-wise, Holiday is not obligated to produce that much anymore, unlike when he was in Milwaukee, since Brown and Tatum are going to be the Celtics' main gunners all year round. Nevertheless, the Celtics will depend on him and Kristaps Porzingis as third scoring options should both Brown and Tatum struggle offensively, especially come playoff time. What I'm also interested to see is Holiday's possible pairing with Derek White at the backcourt. Just like Holiday, White has built a reputation for being one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, which is evidenced by his first all-defensive second-team nomination last season. With Holiday and White running the show in the backcourt, there's no doubt that opposing teams will have a hard time penetrating inside the lane with these two defensive hound dogs prowling around and applying pressure around the clock against the opposing guards. Dealing away Smart and replacing him with Jrue Holiday is probably the smartest move that the Celtics have made so far this offseason, because just like that, the Celtics are back to championship contention yet again, despite the massive attention that the Bucks have garnered due to the Lillard trade. With this said, I really can't wait for the potential matchup between the new-look Bucks and Celtics in the conference finals, and with the inside knowledge that Jrue has over his former team, as well as his championship experience, I think the Celtics' road to the finals might just become a little bit easier because of these factors.